In this video, I will be presenting a briefing on my chosen media artifact for Media and Communications Project A, a documentary on the state of the music industry in Tasmania. I will describe the initial idea surrounding the documentary, the process of securing the elements of the project, how the project has changed and evolved as it progressed, and also the work that is still to come. In the statement of intent for this project, I had the view that the music industry was a failed industry within Tasmania, with no real power or promise. I suppose that artists and bands were significantly challenged by the scene, and that original music may be dying out. However, the viewpoint of the documentary shifted when I realised through interviews that while the commercial elements of the music industry were not thriving, a new independent industry had formed out of the individuals within the scene that called into question my original aim of the documentary. By the time my second production journal had been written, the documentary had been reshaped, adding the question of success to the mix. What is viewed as success in music? Is success the same for all musicians, and can we even measure success accurately? As the documentary is only able to go for a certain period of time, it unfortunately restricts the amount of information that can be utilised within. As I have interviewed the individual members of the documentary, various compelling threads arose that could have provided amazing insight but needed to be cut. For example, in talking to Straddlepuss, a feminist all-girl group, the challenges of female musicians was brought up.
So I think scenes can kind of be a bit more critical of female performers at times, and I think that's shifting.
This would have proven to be an interesting topic, maybe even one that was deserving of its own documentary, but it didn't make the cut based on the limitations of other interview subjects. One thread that I did choose to incorporate came from The Sign, a successful band that has toured America and Japan many times over their musical careers. They spoke of the importance of touring for band survival.
I think regional's where it's at. I think everyone should be touring out in the country. Everyone should be doing regional shows. You know, I think that's certainly where your survival is.
This became a major element for discussion when interviewing the remaining subjects. As mentioned before, success and what an individual regards as success needed clarifying within the information so as to give scope to the responses I had received through interviews. Ian Murtagh, a long-time busker and songwriter, gave an interesting personal account on what success is to him and what music should mean.
The end game was to let's make music, let's give it to people, let's have people come together over this, and just in those moments, hey, this is the world we're presenting and the atmosphere we're creating, and I hope you dig it, I hope you're all enjoying yourself, and come and say hey to us afterwards.
After analysis of my combined information, I chose to segregate elements of the documentary into three separate parts: industry, touring, and success. The main theme and motivation of the interview questions was strongly influenced from a quote used in the mid-stage report. The ability of live music in sustaining communal interaction pale in comparison to powerful constituencies of local residents groups operating through under-resourced local government. The industry section focuses on what support is available to musicians through interviews with the Music Tasmania's CEO, comments from other interviewees observing from an outside of industry perspective, and interviewees that have developed independent industries such as venue operators and record labels. These answers will be presented alongside the question of what exactly is the music industry, drawing from the Media Industries Journal, which states, "There is no music industry. There are many industries with many relationships to music." The second section relates directly to the fact that Tasmania is a regional area of Australia. Thus, touring is significantly harder than other states. The issues raised here, however, are whether touring is essential to the survival of bands, and how, when, and where should bands tour if they wish to progress. This section is presided by conflicting opinions found on the DIY Musician blog. One author suggests touring is detrimental to bands unless they have built a solid following through social media, while another author refutes this by stating, bands shouldn't tour with the purpose of gaining a fan base, so much as to develop the vital skills necessary that you just can't get from banging away on your iPhone for new followers and likes. In the final section, I chose to bring the information to a more personal and real format, asking musicians what exactly their motivations for playing and creating music were, and what they deem as success in their work. This final scene will inject an element of personality and inspiration into the documentary, and help clarify some of the responses that those interview subjects had previously given to more informational answers. As I reach the final stages of the project, it is time to edit and finalise the information I have gathered. I have transcribed all my interviews and am now compiling the quotes derived into an informative dialogue. I have also accumulated masses of B-roll footage that I will use to spice up the visual element of the documentary. I have one final interview with a successful event coordinator that I will use to fill in any gaps that may have become apparent from the compiling stage. Then I'll need to make a title scene, reference, and source adequate music for the final stage, before cataloguing all the permission forms I have. In a final reflective note, when submitting my first production journal, I had referenced a quote that described the basis of being a journalist. If you stand back and think about what you are being told, then you are not a passive consumer. You are judging what matters to you. That is the basis for being a journalist, to care about things and to reflect that in your work. This has motivated me to have a personal care with the information gathered through the interview process, and to approach the issue with critical reflection. I've learned a great deal through the project's evolution. I only hope that those viewing the final project will also learn from and relate to the material and opinions gathered.